Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Martin Rehab M&A Advisory. I am Paul Martin, founder and president of Martin Healthcare Advisors, and today we're going to study a leader who just accomplished something that is extraordinarily rare. Coach Curt Cignetti just led the Indiana football team. It even sounds funny saying that, the Indiana football team. It's always Indiana basketball. But the Indiana football team, he led them to a 16-0 season, a national championship, making them only the second team in college football history to win that many games and have 0 losses at that level. And what's so interesting about this coach, and we're really going to study him today, but he didn't inherit a powerhouse. He literally built a championship program, and he has done that repeatedly across many different levels of college football. So today we're going to break down, I feel like I'm an ESPN analyst. We're going to break down how he actually did it, some of the specifics behind his and the team's success, and what business owners like you guys can take away and learn from in the way he built and ran his elite organization. And he's done this many times. So what makes him so different? Look, Cignetti has won 3 distinct levels of college football. He's done it in Division II, FCS, and the Power 5. And very few coaches have ever done that. And that really tells us that his results specifically are not, environment driven. They are process driven. And we can all take those lessons and apply it to our own businesses. First thing is, he runs the entire program. Cignetti is not an offensive guy or a defensive guru. His edge is that he runs the entire program as one system. No silos, no unit operating under different standards. Discipline is a word he uses constantly, and it is uniform across the entire organization, all the way from offense, defense, special teams to the coaching staff, all the systems around. He runs it as one entire program. And we have that same opportunity to do that in our businesses as well. Let's talk about recruiting. Very interesting. He recruits production over potential. He literally stress tests coachability of a player early in his discussions. What he wants to see is how people and players will respond to hard coaching. Not how they talk about leadership in interviews and use fancy words. He wants to see them under pressure. At Indiana University in Pennsylvania, he partnered with ROTC, the ROTC, to put players through real stress situations. This was not punishment. It was a way to identify who are our true leaders. And that was based on what do they do in terms of their behavior under pressure. And that is something that, we can do in our recruiting, looking for those candidates who have been under some pressure and having them talk us through how they behaved under that pressure. So his practice design, I thought, was very, very interesting. His practices are shorter, but more precise. He would rather have fewer perfect reps than many sloppy ones. And that discipline shows up on game day when his team, Indiana, rarely beat themselves. It was something that the analysts were saying before every game. They do not beat themselves. And I think we can take a lesson from that as well. Do we want folks to have 10, 12-hour days, or do we want them to learn how to be efficient in what they're doing and be very focused on moving themselves through that day so that they then have that, more balance, right? This is one of the most interesting things about him, and I really enjoyed watching him on the sideline. His sideline demeanor. He is calm, and the word I love, he's diagnostic, and he's corrective. And the players trust him because emotion never overrides evaluation. What are we going to do on the next play? I heard him say many times, why should I be a cheerleader on the sidelines when we score a touchdown? I'm expecting that we're going to score a touchdown. And I think that calm, diagnostic, and corrective behavior kept his players also focused as well. So why do these turnarounds stick? And I really, truly believe, now, I'm not a direct fan of Indiana, but I think what he is installing, which is standards before talent, that is a discipline that shows up before the wins. It started with the discipline with that team. 2 years now they're getting the wins, no losses. And that's why his turnarounds seem to last instead of collapsing after a short run. I think, certainly the discipline, but also the players that he has chosen are those that will stick with this team. I know everybody knows we have the portal. And look, in physical therapy private practice, we have a portal, right? Physical therapists and support staff can leave anytime they want and go somewhere else. Unless they're under a non-compete, they can go to one of your key competitors. So, setting those standards and keeping those standards strong is really important as he built a football team for the long haul and as you are building a business for the long haul. So why does this really matter? Whether growth for you is internal or it's external, the lesson is readiness. Cignetti built programs that are predictable, they're coachable, and they are transferable. Although I will add that one of his former coordinators was the defensive coordinator at Miami. And while we can look at the two teams and we can all make our analysis, and certainly through the entire season, Cignetti and Indiana played with much more discipline than the Miami team did. And I'll tell you what, I was really impressed with that Miami team and their ability to keep coming back and keep coming back. But in the end, that Cignetti ran program, discipline, predictability, and that becomes transferable as we bring new players in and new staff in. I think we can really learn from this. So what's our real takeaway here? Look, Coach Cignetti is special because he can repeat success. Repeatability only comes from systems, standards, and disciplines. And he brought all of those to that program. And it will be really interesting to see how he's able to repeat this now that they've won a first national championship. And for our businesses, we can look at being repeatable as we open our first clinic and we put all the systems and the disciplines into that first clinic. Second, it's just a repeat. Third, it's a repeat. Fourth, it's a repeat. 15, 20, it's a repeat. And so I am really hopeful that some of these points that we brought up about Coach Cignetti today can really have an impact about how you will run your business in the future. And if you have any questions on what we have talked about today or anything else that I can talk to you about as it relates to this current industry, just click below and let's talk. Thank you for joining in, and I look forward to seeing you very soon.